Welcome everyone. Good evening. So today we will continue the topic we were discussing in the group. I guess Nitesh is joining us for the first time. So Nitesh, we keep these calls open, and today's call is going to be a completely open discussion. We will continue the same topic. So whenever you would like to talk, just raise your hand or unmute yourself, and you can start talking. So
Sure. Thanks, Anarika.
thanks, Nitesh. So welcome everyone again. Let's begin the conversation. So, Vidya, you started this topic. So, would you like to share something here? Start it.
I think I know I was the one to kind of start off this, and I was just thinking about it, last night, and that's where I thought, how about ponder this topic to this team, because I think this is one place we've all been very open, and I think thanks to Anamika and Sachin who made this place we can all show our vulnerability. So while we've been talking about, everyone talks about physical abuses that they've gone through, emotional abuses they've gone through, and at the same time some mental agony, all that. So when I wanted to kind of discuss something, or rather ask you all, and different perspectives. I'm sure some of you would be married, some of you would not be married. So primarily, I think this is a question for people who are married. Again, not going the stereotype way, but I think that's
can be
only where
can
the
be for
experience comes in.
people who are in, yes, people who are in relationship also.
Right.
So
Yeah,
doesn't have to be, yeah, married, but as long as they can relate to the topic, that's good enough.
exactly. So thank you so much, Sachin, for adding that point. So my point is that when you're talking about intimacy, I think intimacy for me is like everything. Oh, it starts with the physical, mental, emotional, everything. Now, how do you really look at a relationship, and what do you think? Which category would you put this into when you say that it's a sexless marriage? Because for me, my understanding is when you're talking about sex, that's a part and parcel of a married or a committed relationship. So, if somebody has had that kind of a relationship wherein all the other things are ticked and is taken care of, but this is one element which is also an integral element and is missing. What is something that you can suggest? I mean, and how would you kind of help that person?
Yes, yes. It is indeed like a very, very important segment of, being in a married relationship or any kind of intimate or romantic relationship, you know. So sometimes I feel that there was one girl I was talking to. So it's a real life incident. So she wanted to be in a relationship, right? And she wanted to like cuddle up and hug people, and all these things were fine for her. But when it used to come to having sex, she actually wasn't into it. I mean, that's why I asked the question, in the group, that you don't want to have it at all or you don't feel like it. So then we realized over a period of time that she is asexual, right? So she would be like, she explained to me that she likes everything else, but when it comes to having sex, she's like, she doesn't feel anything, right? It just doesn't feel anything to her. It means nothing to her. It's like, but now then she was expected to get married, and she was maybe 3 4 years elder to me, um, but she was like forced to get married by her family and everything, and she had to find a partner as well. So what she shared with me, that she was lucky enough to find somebody, a good friend with whom she could share this, like clearly she could tell him. And then I'm not sure, we did not talk about that in detail later on, but I guess that guy understood it, and she was also telling me that I'm okay with him having this kind of relationships outside, unless he lets me know. So um, that was one case. Another case could be, I don't know, I don't know, but probably people who have transcended this thing, but I don't know. I mean, really, I'm not sure, and I cannot say anything. But as I've heard stories and people talking about this, and that could be another scenario. But I have not met anybody personally like that, and I feel that maybe it can happen, but it cannot happen without going through it. But cannot say. Now, when it comes to having a sexless marriage, then there are a lot of factors which need to be looked into, right? So I will share another case where there was this girl and she was kind of married to her friend, right? So they were like best friends, happy and everything, but then there was no romance involved. So they were vulnerable, emotionally connected, mentally connected, even physically living together, but it was a completely sexless marriage, right? And then later on, she got to realize that if she had to be friends with that person, she could just be friends with him anyway. Why it has to be in the form of marriage? So she had she would have been better in a place where she was romantically involved. And then they mutually got separated and they decided to explore things for themselves. So these things are very subjective. And then another thing comes where people are romantically involved, but then it's a sexless marriage. Then that is something which we need to look forward. So keeping all the other cases aside, now what do we do in these situations, right? So anybody would like to share? I was just talking about the exceptions.
Yeah. So that's good that you talked about those exceptional cases because it's important to touch upon them when we are having an open discussion and we don't know the full background of the dynamics of a couple, then we cannot really talk anything specific. So we have to cover few other points as well. As Anamika mentioned, that there are people with different kind of sexuality. I have had clients. One person I remember many years ago who was married, even had kids, and later on discovered that he was actually homosexual. So he didn't know about this about himself, that he was homosexual. So he got married, he had wife, he had kids, but then over time that intimacy starts to disappear because his actual sexuality was not heterosexual. So maybe he had that in somewhere in his mind. He was rejecting it. He was not accepting that part of him. But as he grew older, he had more courage to face that. Or when you are young, then you have so many factors that are involved, and you care about so many things. But as you grow older, then things that you care about, you start to see that they don't really matter because what I want to do, that matters more. So maybe he developed that courage, and I'm talking about this guy in Sydney. So he was from UK, and he started accepting that part, and so people have different kind of sexualities as well. So we need to consider, because it's not always just very linear that the romance has faded or there is some kind of health issue, as we talked about. There are so many other factors that we also need to look at, that maybe the person's sexuality was not recognized by them, or was recognized but they were not ready to accept that. So if we put all those cases aside for the time being, um, asexual, bisexual, heterosexual, homosexual, all these, if we just put aside and we only talk about heterosexual marriage, where the person has or had interest in sex before, but now over time it has faded away, then we look into the first thing I would say, making sure that it's nothing physical in nature. I think one other person mentioned in the group as well, Rabi, I think she mentioned. So it is important to make sure that it is nothing physical in nature, because if the physical issue is there, then sometimes one partner becomes very conscious about it, and they don't feel very confident and open to discuss that with their partner. Although it shouldn't be the case. I'm using the word should here. It shouldn't be the case, but it is. It is there. There is a little bit of embarrassment that is involved to say that and open up and discuss this. So it is important to first look at that before we start to make it an emotional or mental or psychological factor. It could be just as simple as just everything is fine. It's just physically the person is going through some kind of changes, and they're feeling embarrassed about it. So they don't want to discuss that with their partner directly. So I would say first thing is discuss it, and if you feel that the person is not opening up and not comfortable, then don't push it. That's what I would say. Don't push it, because they may just not feel completely open. Once again, it shouldn't be the case, but it is. So, so give them time and space to come to terms with it, and it's a new thing for them as well. They themselves are feeling embarrassed. It's a change in dynamics in the marriage as well. So while they shouldn't feel embarrassed with their own partner, but people often do. So more percentage is that they will feel embarrassed to discuss this. So best is to see an expert in this area, either a sex expert or maybe a counselor or something, so they can at least, one-on-one, behind closed doors, be open up and discuss this. And the counselor will prepare them to have these kind of discussions with their partner as well. So that's taking the physical side out. That I believe that any of these problems, first we should look at any physical issues with it, and then if physically it's not an issue, they are healthy, they are fine, so there is no dysfunction from that point of view, then obviously the next thing to look at would be the mental, emotional, and psychological. That over time things have happened between two people, and if they are growing apart and not in love with each other, then what are the reasons of that? Is it just a natural thing to happen? Is it that two people are now growing apart because their preferences and their values, their beliefs are changing, which is again a natural thing? We are not set in stone. Somebody you would have loved who was in a certain way 10 years ago, there is nothing set in stone that they will remain the same person for the rest of their lives. People go through different kind of life experiences. Life teaches us so much, and we evolve, and we do things, and we have different preferences, different values, and two people can start to not connect with each other. It is very natural thing to happen unless they are growing together, unless they are they both of their values and their interests and their preferences are changing together, then there is no issue. But this is also very common and very natural that one person is just wanting different things from life now. And because of that, they have stopped resonating, stopped connecting with their partner. And this doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with the partner or with it's just two different people now. And the type has changed. It's like, when we are in the dating mode or when we are looking for a life partner, we always like, well, this is my type of person or not my type of person. So that type changes over time. It is natural. We all change. So understanding that and not taking it in a personal way initially, trying to look at it more from a objective point of view. That is it some kind of change that they are going through, trying to understand that and trying to see and not make it personal initially. And if that is also not the case, then there could be personal things. Then there could be something to take personal. Then there could be things that someone said something, the other person feel hurt, the other person feel mistrusted, the other person feels that they are not respected anymore, they are not loved anymore. So things said and not said within a relationship, then that would be the third thing to explore, is what is going on. Was it something one partner said which the other partner felt hurt or felt insulted or felt disrespected, and because of that they started to disconnect from the other person. They just don't feel good in the presence of their partner anymore. So if that will be there, if they will feel low in the presence of their partner, if they will not feel respected or loved or accepted or whatever, then you cannot expect a physical intimacy from that person. They will just not be in the mood. It's just like that. So it is important to then work on that and resolve that and identify that what happened. What was the incident? Was there something one person did, said, or not did, not said, whatever the case is. So it's worth exploring from that side. That's just my very general kind of thing that I'm like putting out all kind of permutation combinations here.
Yeah. And I would like to add this one thing, that in case a couple has decided that fine, our ways are apart and we have grown apart and we happily move forward, then so there's no problem only, right? I mean, they are very clear, they know what they want. Now, coming back to Vidya's original question, so we have put out all these exceptions. Now, coming back to what Vidya asked, that everything else is like ticked, like emotional, mental, and psychological, and everything, right? But then the sexual part is not there. So it's not possible that all these things are there and the sexual part is just not there. Right. So there must be something which we are missing in the mental and emotional part, right? Because it's very common that people go through boredom in relationships. And I will share with my personal experience talking to people. There was one guy I was talking to. He said that he and his wife, they used to do role plays. Okay. And they both were very clear that they will get involved into sexual relationships with other people, and both of them know about it and they're very clear about it, and they are still willing to be together. So there is no rift in their relationship, right? They both know what both of them are doing, right? So I am not like right now judging them, or I would not be judging them for what they were doing and all that. We think that these things are do not happen in the society or anything like that, but a lot of things happen which we are not aware about. So couples many a times find like different ways of entertainment. So we are not getting into that is also a broken way of doing things. Let's keeping that aside. Whatever their journey is, wherever they are, so they are not ready to get separated because of whatever reasons, societal reasons or family reasons, or they have kids or whatever, but they have come to a point of resolution that okay, fine, we have to be together and we are bored with each other sexually, we are done. So figuring out different ways. So there was this as you American series I was watching, Modern Family. So in case any of you have seen it.
Is it Modern Family or Modern Love, Anamika?
Modern Family, not Modern Love.
Okay, I haven't seen.
Yeah. So in that, there's a couple, and it's a very loving couple, right? But they decide to add fun in their relationship that every time it's Valentine's Day, they take up a different personality, right? And they do a role play and they just go out and they be together and as if they are different people. So it's their, kind of theory that, that is what keeps some spark alive. And at the end of it, they kind of plan the story in a way that both of them end up getting to their own partners, which is them only at the end, right? So boredom, if it is about sexual boredom, just boredom, then couples who are willing to work and who have clarity that they have to be together and they're in a healthy kind of a space, then they figure out different ways of getting over this entertainment, getting over this boredom through anything, like different things. So it's not about judging them. Now when it comes to people who have all of these other things but then not the sexual part, and it's not coming to a resolution and it's getting elongated and it's still there is a lot of confusion that why it is happening, then that is a point where we need to go deeper and look into it, because it's not possible that it can happen without any kind of emotional or issue, because boredom is natural and normal, but it has gotten its own emotional reasons, like midlife crisis. We all go through it. It happens. Some people say they through it early, some later, some never, or whatever, but we all go through it, most of us. So this also happens in relationships. Now when it comes to monogamy and polyamory was very common, or in the not even it wasn't even too late. 100 200 years ago, polyamory was very common. Before even that, polygamy and these different forms of having relationships was common. Even if we go to the ancient times, right, 10,000 years ago, so there was no such thing like monogamy or one partner kind of a thing, because we were like tribals and we were living in jungle. So we would just make babies and the man would move forward and the woman would man would maybe take care of the kids and woman would conceive with somebody else, all these sort of things. And it was very natural, just the same way it happens with animals we see. So with the dawn of upcoming society and everything, it changed over a period of time, for good and bad both, in different ways. So yeah, there was no society back then. It was fine. Now we have it, so we have to figure out solutions based on where we are currently. So anybody would like to say anything, add anything? Kavita, Jaspreet, Mini, Nitesh, Vidya, Neelu.
So Anamika, Sachin, while you talked about all this, that the uncommon things which are like, which are not the conventional one, and the exceptions, that is, and then you talked about some other reasons that could be. Now, if this is the kind of a relationship, what I feel is, can it not have an adverse effect on the other person who is craving for it and not receiving, and then thinking that, is there something wrong with me? And as a result of which, that is there something wrong with me is having a domino effect in every sphere of the person. I mean, every sphere of life for that person, be it work, be it other relations. The person is kind of becoming not the person was, I mean, completely different, and probably kind of sulking, and has lost interest in life because the person feels that the person is no more loved because the other person is just not receiving. So if this is the case, how do we kind of deal up with this kind of a situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes. So what you are saying, it is correct that there will be a domino effect. When you are at the receiving end of this, then it will feel like that, and that's why I said that the person who's doing it is probably not in the right state of mind to even have a conversation, because obviously even if they are getting affected, they are the ones who are doing it. So in some way they are in control, because they are the ones who are doing it. So they can't be doing it and also feel victimized at the same time. So they will not initiate the conversation about it because they are the ones who are doing it. So the person who is at the receiving end of this, who is getting impacted, is the one who has to initiate the conversation on this topic, that what is happening, why is this happening. So this is what I was saying, that if if the physical issue is not there, and and all other factors that we discussed are not there, then definitely something has happened between the two people. So they have to start by talking about it. Uh, so if the person is not coming to the table, so you can only invite the other person and be patient. Maybe you ask first time and they may not respond very nicely, or they may not respond. But if you ask few times and then the person starts to open up, then it has to start with a conversation. Either two people, they have a conversation, or they have a mediator who can facilitate the conversation. So both both people have to come to the table. A relationship cannot be, um, what you call it, the cannot be um, held by
One-sided
just
is what you're
one
saying?
person. It's not possible that you can be initiating it if you are getting impacted, but it is not 100% your responsibility, and it cannot be. You, even if you want to, it will not be possible. So a relationship, both have to come to the table and talk. So if the other person is hurt, or whatever the case is, they may take a little bit time to come to the table. But in the end, they have to have the intention to make it right. If they have already given up that intention to make it right, if they're already in their mind, if it's over, then sadly it is over. Then no matter how much you want to make it happen, it will not, because you cannot just force the other person to do something which they have already decided that they don't want to do. Some intention has to be there in the other person. Some intention has to be there that I want to fix this. I want to make it right. Um, but yeah, initially there could be some hurt and something that is stopping them, and you allow time for that thing to subside. But if you are getting a clue that no matter how much effort you are going to put, it's not going to happen, they have already made up their mind, then you cannot lift a relationship. You cannot work from both sides. It's just not how it works. So you have to just come to terms with this thing that it's finished.
I and is like one best friend. And she, the
Your
Anamika, your
voice
voice
is
is
breaking.
Anamika, your
breaking.
voice is breaking up. Your voice is breaking up, Anamika.
used to not.
Your voice is not clear.
Is now.
No, it's breaking. Okay, while she's fixing her headset or something. So if anybody else has anything to say, anyone has anything to add?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Great. Great. So, yes, I just wanted to share, Vidya, the thing that you shared. I have one of my dearest friend who is exactly going through the same thing, right? So when she got married, I guess 4 years ago, it was all fine. And then after 2 years, she had a child. Now she's again pregnant. Last year, her husband's dad passed away, and they have a joint family. Now, all the financial burden of the whole family of 10, 12 people has come on the head of, her husband. From last 1 year, they have not, had any. She says that we don't talk. We just don't feel intimate. Maybe we had sex for a few times just, so that I could conceive for the second time. And there's just nothing. It feels so like there's nothing left, right? Now she has one daughter and she's going to have another child. And now she doesn't know, like, literally what to do, because she's tried talking to her husband like so many times, but every time she tries, he just doesn't respond. Just she would just be like, no, everything is fine, and he would just continue, spending time using playing games on his phone. He would be out of house all the time. And earlier they had a very nice intimate relationship, but due to whatever circumstances, I don't know, we have not talked about her husband in detail, but whatever he is going through, maybe it's actually the financial burden which actually pressurizes him. Now she feels like so confused. So it's now she's pregnant again, so it is a sexless marriage. And even if you remove sex from it, maybe if they were having it, then to this the emotional connection itself is lost, right? But the situation is such that she is not at a point where she can decide anything. So we had a small discussion about it. We talked about it. So it's just that she has to wait, right? She just has to wait for maybe a couple of months or years. Don't know. Don't know. So it's totally her personal choice. She cannot, just leave him because of her kids or go back to her home or anything like that. So yeah, like, kind of really complex situation it is. Yeah, I was just sharing that story. Now, anybody would like to add anything or share any story or experience?
Hello,
Many, you want
Mini
to say
here.
something?
Hello.
Yes, Many. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Yeah,
Mini.
this is just Anamika. You were talking about the couple who's the that father expired, and just uh, a lot of burden has come on one partner and all. So they are a young couple, right? Relatively. So this will happen for most of the people who are between 45 and 55. Like, a lot of changes will come because of the parents will expire, and the stress will come, and maybe someone will be retiring from my active professional life and all. So it's quite natural that for some time people will be becoming quite inactive, not only every aspects of life. uh, so I used to hear a lot of things because I am in my 53. But people who are my close friends, colleagues, a lot of this type of experiences. So I think that it is natural that when a lot of stress is coming, people will behave in a very different way. But if it is for few months or something, it's okay. But if it is continuing for years, say more than 2 years, I think that it is quite abnormal. So I just wanted to understand your view on that. what should be the time period when somebody is undergoing too much stress, all on a sudden it has come, and then you stop uh, reacting in a passionate way to the partner or in a normal way to the people around. So how much time period you should give? What's the viewpoint?
Uh,
Yeah.
I would like to add that. The law itself says if there's no sexual relationship in a marriage, then it's of no use. Anyone can file divorce. Any party can file a divorce and make separate ways. So 6 period legally, 6 months is legal.
Yes, yes, you're right. You're right, Nitesh. I mean, yes, in those cases where since the beginning nothing has happened, then annulment is always an option, and it's a very good option, in fact, right? You will still be called single rather than divorced. But problem, comes when it was all good and nice, but then now it's not, right? And then I was just talking to my friend, and she's kind of a very empowered woman. So, but what she's struggling with is, that she just doesn't know if he has an intention to work on the relationship or not. So now, when it comes to the time frame, I guess it totally depends upon, person to person, how much patience and tolerance and all these things they have. Because for some people, it would be like, 6 months would be a lot. Some may be having, more patience, so they would stay for maybe a few years, wait for a confirmation, and then they would move on.
Hmm. And as Penny was talking about, again, those changes that you're talking about, mean that both the partners would be aware of those changes that they are happening. So I think here we are talking about all the examples that Anamika was giving, and these are the people who marriage is hardly 5-6 years, less than 10 years. So they're still very young. Some of them are below 35. So they were married for only 2-3 years, less than 5 years, and they're already over it. They have already stopped talking to each other, stopped connecting to each other, and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Understand.
So we are actually, that is the thing where we are talking about that something is not correct. Because
Yes.
those factors that you talk about, that over time, over age, 20, 30 years in marriage and all that, those things will change and both partners will understand. And this is where both partners will anyway grow together to know that this is where they are heading. So,
Yes.
um, so that's a different case altogether. This is where they're still young couple, and maybe people who still don't have any kids. So people who are in a married relationship, where they don't even have a kid yet. So maybe the wife wants to have a kid, and the husband is not, just not in, I wouldn't say interested, but like gone totally inactive. So
Yeah.
so even if it's not interested, it's still something that can be talked about. So if one person has just gone mute and not even discussing anything or figuring out what is happening and all that, then it becomes very painful,
Yeah.
especially because the as Vidya was saying, that everything is fine. Like all the aspects are fine except this part. So
Yeah.
although Nitesh is saying that this is by law, this is fine. That's fine, Nitesh. Like law is fine. Even if the law wasn't there, if two people want to separate, they will figure out a way to separate. So that's not the issue. The thing is that they don't want to separate. And that's the problem. That they're neither separating nor coming together. They're hanging in between. That is the biggest problem here.
Yeah.
That is
No,
what
I
we are
agree
trying
that
to.
Sachin, for a young age, it is like a silent torturing. Uh,
Yes.
but Yeah, it is. It's really like that, and I feel. But when Nitesh mentioned that it is as per law, it is 6 months. It was a good answer for me, because yeah, 6 months maybe genuine. Okay, not like years, because years is it's too much even for old couple also. You cannot have remain
Hmm.
as couple if you are not having any intimacy, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly. So if, as Anamika was mentioning that if someone is marrying their friend just because they are good friends, then you can be good friends even if you're not married. So that marriage that Vidya was defining, it was very much like a friend relationship. All the aspects are fine. So if all the aspects are fine and sex is not there, then this is like friendship. So then why do you need to be married then? You can be friends regardless. So so that's the thing. But that's just a setup. However, in terms of emotions and in terms of everything, they both feel that they're married. So they don't want friendship. They want partnership. They want a husband and wife relationship. They don't want friendship only. So husband and wife can be friends and should be friends. So that's there. But if they just become friends only, then that's not marriage. That's not fulfilling. Because at the end of the day, the that physical intimacy need and that sexual need is still there. Then where will they go? If they are just friends, they don't want to separate also. And then if they want to go outside the marriage and do something, they feel guilty about it. They don't want to hurt the other person. तो ये भी नहीं हो रहा, वो भी नहीं हो रहा, बीच में लटके हैं, ना तो डिवोर्स हो रहा है, ना तो बात हो रही है, ना तो दे आर कमिंग टुगेदर, neither this that. And then if they are young couple and they still don't have kids and they want to start a family, then again another issue that for man it's not an issue. A man can become a father even if he is an 80-year-old man. So for women, again, is a biological clock that is also ticking. So they have to also, want a resolution quicker that what is happening, because it's not healthy to have kids at a very late stage for neither for the mother nor for the kid. And for man it doesn't matter. They can drag the issue forever. They can become a father at 90 also, but a woman can't become a mother after a certain age. So the pressure of this decision, the pressure of this situation is always on the woman. And the situation that we are currently kind of narrowed it down to is the fact that it sounds like a friendship kind of a relationship, although it should be a married relationship. There is no physical and sexual intimacy involved. And it's not there because one person is clear about it कि मुझे नहीं करना. So maybe my orientation is different. Maybe my interests are different. So I thought I was this, but now I realize that I'm not this. So it's like silent treatment, a mute treatment, and not even discussing anything, not addressing anything, just staying quiet. And the time is just passing by, years are just passing by, and life is just dragging on like that. Or when you go outside the relationship and um, try to find these needs, then there is a guilt, and all that is also involved. Let's say even if there is no fear also, कि चलो what others will say and all that, but still अंदर से guilt तो आता है कि क्योंकि we are not clear ना कि why our partner. ये तो पार्टनर ने अगर एकदम क्लियर कर दिया हो ना कि मेरे को नहीं इंटरेस्ट है, तो शायद वो गिल्ट थोड़ा कम भी हो जाए. But if the partner is not even talking, not even saying anything, कुछ बात ही नहीं हो रही है, तो एक वो गिल्ट तो रहता ही है ना कि even if you try to go outside and do something outside of the marriage, तो वो गिल्ट तो रहेगा ही. And then the added pressure is that you want to also start a family. So how do you start a family? How do you force another person to start a family who's not even ready to even talk? So Vidya, is that the summary or how I summarize is that what we
Yes.
are talking?
Yes.
Hmm. So, and unfortunately, we are seeing lots of this happening these days, and that we not only from our people that we know, friend circle or extended friend circle, but people who are coming to us with relationship challenges and talking to us about these kind of things. We are this is becoming very common thing. This is becoming very, very common thing. First thing, uh, in millennials that I have observed is there's a lot of fear of commitment. First thing, they will not even commit. So many are still single. At so they know they have put their own pressure on themselves on this. I want to find the right partner. I'm not able to find the right partner. I want to get married. This that, and I'm now this much older, and I'm this and that, and family pressure, their own pressure, and all that is there. So first there is fear of commitment. उनको मिल भी जाता है कुछ तो 2-3 साल में then it just goes back to this की boredom and getting over and not communicating, not connecting out of love. This is happening just so much these days. Extremely, like I feel it's like a pandemic. It's I don't know why people are not recognizing this, but it's just feels like a pandemic.
True, true. And you coined a
Yeah,
good term there, pandemic. It's actually a pandemic.
it is. I actually usually see my friends, you know. I mean, they have crossed their 30s now. Now they say that they want to get married and be with somebody, but as soon as it comes to getting married, they just run away. They're okay with sex, they're okay with being friends and being emotionally connected and vulnerable and everything. The moment it comes to commitment, it's like they would just run away. So, and even if somehow they do commit, so I was talking to a friend of mine. Now he was like, "Yeah, I have to get married. Yes, in 2-3 years I'll get married." And then the next sentence he said, "अगर नहीं चलती है तो क्या हुआ? Divorce कर लेंगे." So it was it was like so easy for him to say कि नहीं चलती है तो क्या हुआ? Divorce कर लेंगे. I mean, I was kind of seeing it from a very good point also and from a very poor perspective also. कि इसमें दोनों चीजें छुपी हुई हैं कि एक तो वो मतलब इतना ऐसे नहीं बना दिया चीजों को कि there's a lot of burden on both the people to continue a relationship. But वही है, at the same point of time what I was seeing in him was so much lack of commitment, and he was himself telling me कि यार मैं ना 6 महीने किसी बंदी के साथ रहता हूँ ना, I get bored. It just doesn't interest me anymore. So I feel like if I get married, I'll get bored with my partner in 6 months, and then I would want to explore. So it's kind of, mm, I mean, I just didn't have anything to say, and I was like, okay, whatever makes you happy, go ahead. Because I tried talking to him so many times, but then you cannot, tell anything to anybody in a language which he or she doesn't understand. So it was, yeah, it's very common.
Right. I have been reading all the chat and listening to whatever everybody was sharing. Thanks, Anamika, Karma, and so many people have shared their own things. And I so much resonated with what Akarma has mentioned in the chat as to, and just now what Anamika said, do what makes you happy, right? And unless and until you do not have any regrets saying, uh, okay, this is the one thing which I'm not getting, and I go and seek or get it from outside from somebody. And if that is not okay with you as per your value system, I think you shouldn't. You need to work around on the thing of regret, guilt, and all these things, and just be peaceful. And if you're not getting it, go get it. And if you're happy with it, just continue. What's wrong in it is my opinion. And uh, as as so many people have shared that even after they get bored right after being in the marriage. So either communicate with the partner as to what's really missing, be vulnerable, uh, or seek support, ask, clarify. That's one thing. But if you think that might create some not so good things in the family, um, and I see most of the families these days are stuck because they already have children, and one of the I mean the lady is not really earning much to really take care of the kids. Is what I see, the pattern. Yes, right. And one of my friend got married. It's a love marriage, and there was so much of pressure to have. Did not want to have children. Okay, but there was so much of pressure from parents and relatives and so many people that they had to have children. I mean, one thing I understood is you got to understand that it's your life. It's your life. Nobody is going to come and save. You got to do the things which make you happy, which you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable, don't do it. Don't have any regrets of doing it and then regretting it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Thank you.
And
Thanks.
thanks,
Thanks,
Kumar.
Kumar.
I I want to share one example over here, which is very odd and very different example, but somehow I feel that maybe that will deliver the message as well. Uh, so as we have shared with the group that we were in Bangalore for to conduct a corporate retreat, we just came back today in the afternoon. Now we our schedule was packed. We went there for work. Our schedule was packed, and we didn't have any as such vehicle also to go anywhere as such. But our schedule was anyway packed. We had to work as well as there were many people we wanted to meet. So we asked people that if they can come and meet us because that will help us rather than we spending time on the road going and meeting everybody while we also have to we went there for work. So we asked people to come and meet us if they want to. So Rashmi came, she's on the call as well. Rashmi came and met us. She was going next day going back to Kerala, and still she found time. She came late, and but she made sure that uh, she found time and meet us. So even it was raining and it was dark and all that, still she made time to come. Srini also came and met us, and he also got late because of the traffic and all that. But then after Rashmi left, he stayed and he continued talking. We were talking till 1 o'clock in the morning with him. He was there. So so this was that. And then there was another lady who is staying in Bangalore only. She is local Bangalore person, and we told her also that we are there, and she couldn't. She just didn't want to make any time to come and see us and all that, and that's fine, right? Now, why I'm taking this example is that we all talk about having, we should drop our egos and all that. This is all good, in general, this is all good. But somewhere, in order to operate in our day-to-day life with people, somewhere we also have to check that who finds it important and who finds us not important. People who find it important to come talk to us, because we could have gone and met Rashmi also if we had time. We could have gone and met Srini also if we had time, but we didn't. So they understood that that it's not about that. So they came and met us. But this lady didn't find it important enough to meet us, and she just told us, here I live here, come and see me. And we told her also we can't because we are busy, like whole day we are here, and it's not possible. But she didn't make any efforts. So somewhere you have to draw the line to say who finds it important in your life and who don't. So it's not about this कि हाँ चलो हम मिल लें या वो मिल लें, एक ही बात है. You can't do this with everyone because everyone doesn't see you that way. Maybe हम वो रश्मि के साथ कर सकते हैं कि अच्छा रश्मि मिल ले या हम मिल ले, because now we know कि it doesn't matter. But to some people it doesn't, so we cannot be the same. So somewhere you have to see कि कौन आपको important समझ रहा है और कौन आपको नहीं important, कहाँ energy लगानी है कहाँ नहीं लगानी है. So we have to do this, and it's the same thing in relationship also. You can try, you can do your best, but अगर years or years निकले जा रहे हैं, the same conversation, same argument going on, and it's been 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and the sexless marriage is going on, and same arguments, and nothing is coming to fruition. And somewhere you have to put your foot down and say, no, I need a resolution for this now. You just cannot go on and on like this. And there is a very good chance that that the relationship will break. But is it? वो अभी जुड़ी कहाँ है? It's only an illusion you are hanging on to anyway. So somewhere you have to bite the bullet. It doesn't matter if you are not ready for the consequence. Then just make yourself ready for the consequence. And you have to draw the line and draw the boundary. Ki, if the other person is not finding it important enough, तो कहीं ना कहीं एक सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट की जरूरत है, एक सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट की जरूरत है यहाँ पे कि टू से कि it's fine. If this person doesn't find it important, then it's fine. So why I am hanging on to this so much? मैं इसको इतना important बना के क्यों बैठूं? अगर दूसरा उसको कुछ समझ नहीं रहा है, उसको होगा तो मिलेगा, नहीं तो ठीक है. तो somewhere that decision needs to be made. अगर ये सालों से खींच रहा है तो नहीं खींचना चाहिए. तो या तो अभी तक रिजॉल्व हो जाना चाहिए था. हाँ, या तो अभी तक रिजॉल्व हो जाना चाहिए था, और या फिर the other person needs to show some interest to come to the table. Even if a conversation is happening और कुछ हो रहा है, ठीक है, तो फिर अगर सालों भी लग रहे हैं तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. फिर बट कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है, इट्स जस्ट कमिंग टू अ स्टैंड स्टिल, और वहीं की वहीं है सालों से. तो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली आर यू कॉलिंग? कि फिर बचा क्या रहे हो आप? आई डोंट नो बचा हुआ क्या है यहाँ पे. इट्स ओनली एन इल्यूजन यू आर हैंगिंग ऑन टू.
Yes, I would just like to add from my personal experience to what Akarma said. जब in a marriage or in a friendship, any relationship, sometimes things are good, right? But then over a period of time, you realize it's not anymore. So I realized that hope, this thing we call hope, can actually turn out to be dangerous, right? When we just create that illusion that it's bad. We know it. We know that it's not right. It's not going to help us, everything. But we're still living in that hope that someday that good time that we had and the good things that happened are going to come back again, and this person is going to change. So two scenarios: either it was not there since the beginning, or it has just ended, but we don't want to accept it. We keep living in denial that someday it's gonna change, and it doesn't. And कुछ लोगों के लिए तो ये इतना लंबा टाइम हो जाता है, it goes on for so long कि फिर then they end up regretting कि यार I knew it, but I don't know what I was waiting for. Right, but then it's a very personal journey. We were talking to one person who wanted to fight for his wife, right? And he wanted to fight and fight and fight. Now I was just saying the same thing to Akarma, that see, he's in a total fight mode. He know, matlab Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, whatever he will do to get his wife back, right? So even if we tell him na ki please listen, see the truth, listen to the truth, we start screaming in his ear, see the truth. But वो जो hope है ना, उसको इतने जोर से पकड़ रखा है, जो denial mode में इतने जोर से फंसे हुए हैं, that he's not able to let go of the hope. And this hope sometimes takes away a lot of time, because just we are not ready to accept that this person is not the same person anymore, or we are not same, or something is or was abusive, but we just don't want to see through it. We keep living in denial. या तो वो चीज थी ही नहीं, या तो वो चीज खत्म हो गई. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, very valid points, Akarma and Ananta, that you shared, and that's what I keep thinking. कि कितने साल रुकोगे? How many days, months, and years of disappointments and heartbreaks, and you're not sitting and talking to each other, sulking, and I mean, all this will show up in the body one day. The disease starts in the mind, and it starts showing up. I mean, people lose their health just being in the relation, these toxic relationships, or the things which are not getting satisfied. Whether it could be anything, right? So either they need to sit and talk and resolve it, or they need to come out of it. I have a friend. I have a my childhood friend. I know you call it that school love and all. I used to really like her and all, and later got to know that she got married at a very early age. Okay, and uh, she had a daughter, and they could live together only for 3 years. Okay, her husband was abusive. In fact, so abusive that he used to burn her hands with cigarettes, and she couldn't take it anymore. I mean, she tried to adjust, but she said she put down and said, no, this is not going to work anymore. And she was totally dependent on her husband, but she said, no, I will start working. And she started working, and I met her 5 years ago. Now her daughter is 20 years, 20 years daughter. She's all by herself, working and working. Now she is some L&D head in some big company, and she's okay with her life. She's in fact very happy with her life. That there's nobody, I mean, no man in her life, no husband, right? She was alcoholic. She started smoking. Uh, she was all that. So she took a decision that there's going to be no emotional attachment or love in my life anymore. My daughter is important, so let me take care of my daughter. In fact, I reached out to her and asked that I loved you. Would you like to marry me? And she was very clear in her, desires, what she wanted. She said, "Kumar, I'm in a position where, or a situation where I really cannot get emotionally attached to anyone. Hope you understand." And I respected her decision. So it becomes very important for somebody to take that. I know it's not easy. Living together is also not easy, isn't it? So you got to take some kind of decision which will keep you at peace at least. I just wanted to share about
Yeah.
this
No,
friend.
this is a very good example that you shared, Kumar. That and that's the thing that we think that living that separating is not easy, but then living itself is also hell anyway. So it's the
Absolutely,
choice
absolutely.
that we have to make which one is. But I'll give another example that I knew a couple when I was in Pune. I knew a couple, and they both were Ayurvedic doctors, right? So, and it is important why I'm saying that because you would know that if they are Ayurvedic doctor, they would know so much about health and body and all that, right? So both Ayurvedic doctors and all that. So they were having a lot of trouble in their marriage because of that. So in lack of intimacy and all that was there, and the woman tried to conceive two, three. She had three miscarriages. All that every time she would conceive, she would have miscarriage because of all these issues, these tensions and stress and everything going on. She was not able to conceive. And they're Ayurvedic doctors. They know about it. They're supposed to be telling all these things to other people, and they're struggling in their own life. So um, these issues they create big problem, and it's not just mental. Maybe start from mental, but this is very common study. If you just do a quick Google search, you'll see that many couples who are having these kind of problems, the woman has a lot of problem conceiving. That's
And I have
from
seen
my
and
side.
I've seen these ladies. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's from my side. Yeah, go ahead. Kumar.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Sachin. I mean, I have seen my own friends who are women developing just because of the stress and all these things at a very young age. They develop, I don't know, all sorts of diabetes, blood pressures, and all. I mean, and still in
Yeah,
the relationship.
I don't know how many of you are aware about PCOD, and I'm sure the women here
Yeah,
are
yeah.
aware. You won't believe these things. I mean, maybe existed earlier also or whatever, but drastic, like literally drastic shift has come. So many women have it now. So many young girls. You won't believe my friends. 3 out of 5 of my friends, I would say that every other female I go through, and in case this comes up, and she would be like, "Yes, I have it." Right? So it's just this the cycle is just so messed up. I mean, there are a lot of reasons, right? So we will talk about the energy and how this impacted everybody, and why, how our behavior is changing these things in us. This is a very big thing now, drastic shift. And it's so shocking. When I see these people, I'm glad that a few of my friends who had it, like, still could conceive, but many cannot. They're still trying and getting nowhere. And they somehow feel that it's maybe it's temporary, or maybe it's some, but they don't understand, the root from where it is actually coming. There's a lot of imbalance. And in fact, in men as well, right? So the more technological advancements happened, and the way we live now, we didn't have this kind of all the antennas and towers all around us all the time. So studies show that that affects men too, their sperm count and their ability to conceive. So there was this guy, mm, maybe in his mid 30s. So they wanted to conceive, but he was into IT, right? And he would stay in that cell all day long, from years, 10, 15 years, whatever time. He had such a low sperm count. They were just, it took them like almost 5 years to conceive. Then they could be like, okay, finally, going through a lot of treatments and everything. So yes, a lot of reasons, which combine together.
Vidya, you are quiet for some time. Any comments from your side?
No, I'm just listening and absorbing things. That's it. Absorbing and observing both.
Okay.
By the way, Kumar, excellent example. I am, I'm like, I'm so
Thanks,
happy and
thanks,
glad that you shared that.
thanks,
Every
Anamika.
time, yeah, every time we talk on a call, and then at the end, this thing comes up that whatever it is, own your truth. Like, even if you are being in an abusive relationship, own it, right? So that takes a lot of courage, not easy.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm glad, and salute to your friend. I mean, that's amazing.
Yes, yes, Anamika. And she doesn't mind catching up, meeting, and having fun, going around. And in fact, I was supposed to meet her today, and I think she has got some relatives at home. She's such a sweet lady, I mean, I have ever met in my life. And imagine, I know her since school. We were classmates, and such a brilliant student. I mean, wow, top 5 ranker. And today I see her as a different person altogether. I have seen her as an alcoholic as well. I mean, smoking, alcohol. I mean, she was totally into it, and she came out of all that. And she's very clear. The best thing which I have seen is she's clear. When I even proposed her, let's get married, let's live together. She said no, and I loved it. That's absolutely fine. And
Yes.
as Akapa
Because
mentioned,
she didn't play any games with you, or she didn't tell you,
correct. Yes,
Kumar, I think this and I feel that and all that. So there were no games. It was just like clarity coming up. This
absolutely,
is this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and as Akarma mentioned in the chat, and you guys also spoke about it, be ready for the consequences of your actions. For every action, there are going to be some result, some consequence, right? Just be ready for it. If you want to be in the relationship, be in the relationship and continue suffering, or come out of it. There will be suffering. It is not easy. तो जब जब सफरिंग करना ही है तो मतलब डिसीजन लो ना. वो choice सबके पास है. Just make the choice and just be ready for the consequences. And this lady had the consequence of financial burden earned by herself and all, and she did it.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful.
Anybody else have anything to say, or are we done with this topic?
There are two people on the called VK and G. Can you please let us know your names?
Jaspreet, Rashmi, Kavita, anything, Neelu, anything to add? Anything to say?
I would like to add this thing that I am also suffering from PCOD since my teenage, and still going through that, but it has reduced. So this thing really impact a lot in life's relationship, the PCOD, the stress, and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It indeed does. It's painful.
I got the reason because I was not expressive in. I used to suppress my feelings when someone was not able to understand me. So that was the reason. Like I think so, I got this problem since my childhood.
Yeah, yeah. See, when we entered the era, where there was more masculine energy. So it's not like that men are now more masculine, like females also are more masculine, right? And the more we miss out our feminine side, not just women, men also, it certainly creates problem. And if you see females, they are, we are like, we have a natural, plug of sharing our emotions, and we are very emotional, innately very emotional. And when we suppress it, and I was so small, and my father used to tell me, कि तुझे बेटा बनना है मेरा, because I was the only child. And for a very long time, I totally bought it. कि हाँ मुझे बेटा बनना है. I was so masculine since my since my childhood. Then as I was growing up, and I realized that my relationships and everything is kind of fucked up. ठीक है, तो what I'm trying to be. So it took me a lot of time, a lot of crying, and a lot of healing, and a lot of things to come over it. But yes, in this part, like, so somehow I'm glad that it didn't create a PCOD kind of a thing, a physical thing, but then certainly it created other things, other kind of things, right? Other things, my mind, mental, intellect, it was also messed up, because I would just not, when my dad died, I didn't cry, not even a single tear, right? Because why? Because my dad wanted me to be a man, and मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, तो मुझे तो मर्द बनना है. क्यों बनना है भाई?
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
हाँ,
Oh,
किसको क्या प्रूव करना है? ठीक है, जो हो वो
हाँ,
वही रहो.
बिल्कुल जो नेचर ने बनाकर भेजा है, at least be with that. Why to prove
Exactly.
someone? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
काफी लंबा टाइम लगा to accept my feminine side.
Mm-hmm.
And but
Actually, that's true. And another thing I didn't share earlier, although everyone was sharing their own part, and my husband was near me, so I couldn't able to add my viewpoint in this. Actually, I have a like this. They were talking about sex thing, so I really like to have a sex in other different modes of it, like the movements, the hugging, caring, and sharing. But the actual part of sex is which really doesn't means to me a lot. but that's there. It's a parts and parcel of life. We have to go by with that. So just wanted to know your viewpoint in that. It's normal or it's natural, because I gone through a
You
like
know,
very tiring life in like going office, then get up in the morning and things are like, so then you tired and then you don't feel like, but yes, during those special days also you feel like to have that hugging, that caring part, that the other moments of romantic is always been looked forward by me. So just wanted to know my your viewpoint on those grounds. Although I know I'm taking your time, it's been nice. It's going to be 6:30, or we can address this next time also. That's no issue.
now this point that you have made, there is a study on this one. Some UK-based company has done the study on this. I forgot the name, but you can do a Google search on it. And they found that
Okay.
almost 80% women that they surveyed, 80% women said the same thing, that they the intercourse part is not what they enjoy the most. So
Absolutely. That was
80%
my
women
meaning.
are
Yeah.
actually fine with the other form of intimacy and showing that part. And when we talk about that sexual intimacy, for most men, the only thing that comes to our mind is intercourse, and 80% women don't want it. So that's a big gap and a big kind of miscommunication, educational gap, where for most men, sexual intimacy means intercourse, and for most women, sexual intimacy doesn't mean intercourse.
I think it's a normal. I think so. I was thinking like, although we were never used to discuss these things with other ones, but that's why I thought this is a very open platform where we are always being open to discuss each and everything. So I thought, let me just share this viewpoint, because I have gone through. It's been now 20 years with of my married life, so I never enjoyed that intercourse. But yes, with that ultimately ends up with that intercourse only. But yes, the intimacy part always attracts you more as compared to other things. That's really true. I think
Yeah.
then you said it's a study and 80% falls into this category. So that's a normal thing. So I think so I'm a normal human being only.
I'm totally with you on this, Jaspreet. Same for me.
Yeah.
I want to ask another thing while Jaspreet talked about it. But now, is there a possibility? And I think Sachin, I think the I remember once we were talking about the masculine and the feminine energy part of it. I think that whether that plays a role or not. But is there a possibility that what we talked about, just research on the 80% women feeling that other forms would be more considered as intimacy, and intercourse is not part of it. I mean, they don't enjoy, and whereas the men, with men, it's the opposite case. So, can it be a case with man who falls under this category of this 80% of the women thing?
Yeah, yeah, it can definitely, it can fall on that they don't want that anymore. And like what Namika was sharing, that about the other woman who found herself to be asexual. So over time, our sexual orientation could also change that way, and for them, this is not important. But then again, as she mentioned, that that being the case, she had a partner, she found a partner. Um, Either she knows that she is asexual, so she doesn't want it. But then at the same time, she cannot expect the same thing from her husband also. So either she finds a person who's also asexual, who also, so then the rarity of that finding that person would be quite a bit. So if the woman, if she is clear that she doesn't want it, then she's also giving freedom to her husband, that you want to go ahead, you go ahead with somebody else, because that's not my need. But she's also recognizing that it's the need of her husband. So if we now reverse this and we say that maybe the husband is now turning into an asexual and doesn't want this, then again having an open conversation and saying that, but I want it. So then the husband shouldn't have any issue with this thing, because they cannot force this, that no, I don't want it and you also don't go and do it also. So then again it becomes toxic in nature. So having that conversation, having that understanding that yes, I am over it, I don't want it, but I don't want to lose you in my life. I want to do this. But I also recognize that you have that need, and not judging and labeling the other person and giving them the freedom to choose. If you want to do this, then you do. Go ahead and do it. So again, communication and open conversation is required if that is the case.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be difficult conversation, and people have to really understand that and be very transparent when they sit and they talk and communicate about their needs and desires and what they really want out of their partner, when it comes to this intimacy that we're talking about. So super important. And I think which never happens because of maybe, day-to-day life, engagement, office,
This
work,
is
learning.
definitely this is difficult conversation. I'll give you an example of another person. Once I think I shared it before also, but again I'll share it that I know one person who's he's still not 35. He's probably 33, 32, 33, less than 35. And few years ago he had a very bad accident in which he lost his leg. So he's paralyzed waist below. And used to know him very well. And one time he was even having very difficult time to ask me this, and he said that I wanted coaching from you on this point, and I asked him what point, and it was very difficult for him to talk as well. And he said that, as you know, my condition, and my wife is still young, and she's, I know that she is not having any other relationship apart from me, but but I know that she is also young, and these all these needs and desires are there, and I'm not able to do anything. So I want to have a conversation with my wife that I'm okay if she wants to pursue this. But then he was also very mindful that if I talk about it, then she doesn't feel offended or anything like that. So that's what. But people do face these realities and want to see how we can initiate these conversations. It is difficult talk, definitely, but it is better to have that talk rather than just staying silent and then expecting the worst and always suspecting that is my wife having some relationship with someone, is she going somewhere, and then always wo shak karo and always just imagining things in their own head and all that, even if the wife is not doing anything, always treating her as if she is doing something like that. So then what is the point? Like, what are we holding on to? So either have the conversation, get it out of your system, either have the conversation or then just let it go. Like, then just accept if she's doing it, then she's doing it. If you don't want to have the conversation, then just don't. Then just let it go. So just be okay with whatever it is. So it's difficult either way. It's not. These setups are difficult either way. There is no easy way out. These are difficult situations, and the only option is just taking the responsibility and ownership of the situation and seeing that what is it that needs to be done. So you do what is needed, and if a conversation needs to be had, then have that. And the other person may not be ready for that conversation, and it's not that you've decided, and you probably have thought a lot about it, and you had all your time to come to that point that now I want to have this conversation. So let's say he was having this conversation with me, and before even having this conversation, he may be thinking a lot before that. And then maybe let's say we take 1 or 2 months time for him to come to that point where he can have this conversation. We didn't go ahead with that because he was just too uncomfortable after a while. But let's say even if we continued and I would have worked with him for a couple of months and made him ready for this kind of conversation, then he had all the time. He had 3-4 months to think about this whole thing, and then all of a sudden he will open this conversation with his wife. He cannot expect her to have an answer and just say yes or no to that one. So he would have to also allow her to absorb this whole thing. And she might feel embarrassed and offended by it initially as well, that how come he's having this. But understanding that it will be the reaction and it's okay, and allowing time for this thing to sink in, and give it time for the other person to absorb and respond in their own time. That's fine. Whatever is, something is happening, some conversation is happening. It's better than just quiet. Just both partners are just quiet and finding ये भी है तो ठीक है, ये नहीं भी है तो ठीक है, everything is fine. Everything is not fine. So it's just time is going by, and just ostrich ban ke just bury your head in the sand is not the answer. So these are difficult situations, these are difficult conversations. Either have them or own that this is how my life is, this is how it is, this is the setup, then just accept it and not feel bad about it, not feel I'm stuck, I'm this, I'm that. Either accept that or just end it. One decision has to be made. It cannot just keep going on like this, because it's not healthy.
Yes, and I really like the example which Anamika had shared about maybe a friend where the couple, I mean, both have sat down, they decided that, I mean, they're having a relationship, I mean, physical intimacy outside their marriage, and they're okay with it. Both of them, I mean, after listening to that, I said, wow. I mean, look at the conversation, the thing that they had in between, the understanding. I mean, we rarely come across these kind of people who are ready to discuss, talk, and solve it among themselves. Else, as 𝗕𝗿𝗿 rightly said, I mean, if it is not working out, I think, again, it's a choice. You got to be facing the consequences for whatever it is. Or
And at the end
keep
of the day,
sulking.
it has to be the person who is getting impacted, because the other
Yes.
person who's doing it, they're doing it out of choice. They have control. So they will be also impacted by it, but that is their doing. That is what they're choosing. The other partner who is getting impacted is by a decision that they have not even made. So ultimately they have to grab the bull by the horn and just put the foot down and say, I want to clarify this. This cannot keep going on like this. So either have the conversation, or decide in your own head that this is my life, this is my fate, and this is how it's going to be, and I'm just going to be happy in this. So I'm not going to have a chat about this. I'm not ready to let go of this relationship also. I'm not divorcing. I'm not talking. Then decide that. Then you are also deciding that this is how it is. This is your fate. Then be happy with that setup. If you're not, then have a chat. And if they are not ready to have a chat, they don't want to have a chat, they are ignoring it, they are saying, no, everything is fine, it's all good, no, then it's not good.
So, but what about if the person is not owning the responsibility also, and not letting the other person go also, and take the full control by doing the blame games and not taking the responsibility?
Nobody can stop anyone from not going. It is impossible. We live in a free country now. It is impossible for another person to not let you go. It is impossible.
Not let you go in the sense that not letting you free legally, and when the other person is obviously financially dependent and they cannot leave. So from that point of view, if like a lady is financially dependent and the person is taking full control of it.
So that's what I'm saying. Then be happy
by doing
with the
situation. The thing whatever they
then
want to do, by taking control and then not legally getting separated also.
Yes. So then accept the fate. Then accept the fate that I am financially dependent. This is my fate. This is the kind of husband I've got. This is what my life is. And accept the fate and be happy.
But that impacts emotionally and mentally a lot.
No, but then you cannot. It should be meri, pad bhi meri nahi ho sakta na. So that's what I'm saying. if they have already identified कि I am financially dependent, do something to becoming financially independent. अरे रहना है तो जाके आश्रम में रहो. So it's not, ये नहीं है. The person has to have some self-worth. कुछ तो सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट, कुछ तो सेल्फ वर्थ रखने की यहाँ पे जरूरत है. इतना भी ऐसे कि आई एम फाइनेंशियली डिपेंडेंट, आई एम दिस, आई एम दैट, और फिर उसके बाद ये भी चेंज होना चाहिए, ऐसे भी, तो ये तो चित भी मेरी पट भी मेरी वाला हिसाब हो गया. यू नो कि ठीक है, नहीं है, हस्बैंड इज कंट्रोलिंग, हस्बैंड इज टेकिंग एडवांटेज एंड ऑल दैट, तो फिर खुश रहो, फिर ओन दैट कि हाँ यही है.
Person should not fight for their legal, you can say, what I mean, as a hak जो आपका एक बनता है कि like you should get it. So just go and live in the ashram as you said, and let the other person be happy doing whatever they are doing.
There are many NGOs who will help to set these kind of people. You approach them, say, like I have nothing, this, that. Approach NGOs, just take the step, become financially independent, go do a job somewhere. Like यहाँ पे तो पढ़े लिखे लोग भी नहीं होते हैं, वो भी तो दूसरों के घर में झाड़ू मार के भी पैसे कमा लेते हैं. ऐसी क्या बात है, फाइनेंशियल इंडिपेंडेंस इतना भी क्या है.
So, but then why a person should leave their proper legal hak and let the person do in every sense whatever they want to do?
No, in
Financially
that
also.
case, Neelu, don't leave your, if you feel that it's your, hak and you have to get it, then don't leave that. It's okay to fight for it, right? But that is a different scenario. That doesn't mean that you have to take what this person is doing with you, right? So that is a completely different thing, right? So that can happen even when you have separated. You don't live with them. So that way, otherwise something at some point, whatever point it is, and it's totally subjective, सबका अलग अलग हो सकता है. ठीक है. अब for an example, I just wrote a similar story in the group a few days back. So there's this friend, not a very close friend of mine, just that I know. So her husband hits her, and very bad, and she's so thin. I just met her a few months back, so thin, like literally, like she was very beautiful and everything. Now she's like एकदम ऐसे कोई लकड़ी बस खड़ी हुई है सामने, and all the time 24/7 with her baby. She's being hit, and she would get hit, leave the house, and again come back after 1 month. Because now she and her daughter are very much used to the lifestyle. Okay. So now the thing is that I was just looking at her, and I could understand maybe it's hard for her to leave it, and she's dependent, and she wants that lifestyle. But the thing is that she should own it. Now she was also saying that if I could, fight a case and this and that. Now the husband's family is so rich that they can buy any lawyer, all the lawyers in the town, right? So she kind of is not left with a choice, but certainly there is some choice that she has to make at some point of time, that this is how it is, and I choose this, and I have to live with this, right? Because, or if she goes out and she has to fight for it, she has to fight for it, no problem. Fight for whatever, in whatever way, for your legal rights, for your alimony, for whatever you feel is right. But the thing is that some stance one has to take, some side, that now I have clarity that this is what I want to do. Ab pain to har jagah hai, theek hai. Now it's your choice which pain you are going to, ready to address. So किस पेन से या तो कम पेन होगा, या तो फिर you will save your self respect, या फिर you will whatever your values are. So इसमें कुछ right and wrong का नहीं है, सबकी अपनी subjective. कुछ लोग होते हैं who say that I don't want anything, just leave me. कुछ लोग होते हैं जिनके लिए सही होता है कि ये तो मेरा हक है, and they are also right. So it's very subjective. But all, I guess, we always say that it's all about owning it.
This example that Anamika is sharing, she's talking about one of her friends who's married in an extremely rich family, extremely rich, so filthy rich family, and the husband beats her, all that, so treats her very badly, continuously beats her and abusive and all that. And she was telling me that when she was getting married, her only criteria at that time was to get married in a rich family. That's what this lady always wanted, that she wanted to get married in a rich family. So now she's got what she wanted. She has a good lifestyle. She has a lot of money. She has a lot of material wealth, everything around her. She's got all that. She's not ready to let go of all that lifestyle. So she is an educated woman. What financial dependence? What financial dependence in this day and age we talk about? Like if anybody wants to find work, they can find work, whatever kind of work they can do. There are a lot of NGOs, there are a lot of places that can help people to set up, and if they want, but she's not ready to let go of that lifestyle. And but then she also wants her husband to change. So ये चिद्दी मेरी पड्डी मेरी वाला हम बात करते हैं कि the husband is not going to change. Why would they change? उनको क्या जरूरत है? उनका तो काम चल रहा है ना. तो जो इम्पैक्टेड है डिसीजन तो उसको लेना है ना. जो कर रहा है उसको थोड़ी कोई डिसीजन लेना है. उसको क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? वो तो उसका तो काम चल रहा है. ही इज बीटिंग हिज वाइफ एंड देन ही इज हैविंग सेक्स विद हर एज वेल. ही इज गेटिंग व्हाटएवर, ही गॉट एवरीथिंग सॉर्टेड इन हिज लाइफ. उसको क्या प्रॉब्लम है? तो जो इम्पैक्टेड है उसको ही तो डिसीजन लेना है ना. अब वो जो इम्पैक्टेड है वो अगर इस चीज पे ले रहे कि आई एम फाइनेंशियली डिपेंडेंट, आई एम दिस, आई डोंट वांट टू लूज दिस काइंड ऑफ लाइफस्टाइल एंड ऑल दैट, तो फिर ये फिर ओन दिस डिसीजन ना. तो फिर नाउ यू आर गेटिंग बिटन अप एंड ऑल दैट. तो फिर वो ये कि वो ये भी नहीं करे और मेरा ये भी चलता रहे, ऐसे तो नहीं है ना. ऐसे नहीं हो रहा. यू कैन टेक, शी कैन गो टू लॉ एज वेल, शी कैन कंप्लेन अबाउट इट. But then there is a good chance that if she does that, then she will be forced to divorce or whatever, lose. So उसको कोई भी वो नहीं चाहिए. वो उसको वो छोड़ना नहीं है लाइफस्टाइल. उसको वही चाहिए सब कुछ. बट उसको ये चाहिए कि उसका हस्बैंड चेंज हो जाए. उसका हस्बैंड क्यों चेंज होगा? उसको क्या जरूरत है चेंज होने की? उसका तो काम चल रहा है. तो we have to look at these things from the point of view कि we cannot keep blaming about our situation because हाँ ठीक है, it's bad luck that she got into this kind of marriage setup and all that. but अब तो हो गया ना. अब तो आ गई. अब ये है, अब आगे यहाँ से क्या करना है उसी को देखना है. तो अगर सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट है, सेल्फ वर्थ है, और शी इज रेडी टू लेट गो ऑफ दिस लाइफस्टाइल एंड रेडी टू लिव अ वेरी मीडियोकर लाइफ एंड वेरी जस्ट, बट जहाँ पे उसकी सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट, उसको मार नहीं खानी पड़ रही है and all that, if she can choose that, she can live like that. And ऐसा भी नहीं है कि लाइफ खत्म हो गई. she'll probably attract another partner also later on who can love her and all that. तो लाइफ तो खत्म नहीं हो गई है ना. तो डिसीजन तो उसको लेना है ना. अब अगर वो डिसीजन ये ले रही है, नहीं मेरे को तो ये लाइफस्टाइल तो नहीं छोड़ना, मेरे को तो ये सब बहुत, आई ऑलवेज वांटेड अ वेल्दी फैमिली, अब आई गॉट मैरिड इन अ वेल्दी फैमिली, तो फिर दिस हैज कम एज पार्ट ऑफ द पैकेज टू हर. उस टाइम उसने कोई और क्राइटेरिया नहीं रखा. उस टाइम अगर वो और क्राइटेरिया देखती कि हाँ वेल्दी फैमिली भी चाहिए, लविंग हस्बैंड भी चाहिए, ये भी चाहिए, तो उसमें वो कब नहीं, उन लोगों ने उस चीज़ को ज़्यादा उस पर ध्यान दिया. बस वेल्दी फैमिली आ गई, शादी हो गई. अब दिस इज what this is. A few weeks ago we went and we saw a marriage bureau guy. So we met that guy and that guy was telling us a story. He said कि एक बंदा आया और वो मुझे बोला मेरी बेटी के लिए मेरे को रिश्ता चाहिए. I said कि क्या criteria? He said all I want is कि that person should be earning at least 5 lakh rupees a month. तो बोलता है that's it, that's all you want? हाँ, that's all I want कि 5 lakh rupees मिनिमम वो अर्न कर रहा होना चाहिए. तो बोलता 5 lakhs क्या, मैं तो 15-20 lakhs वाला दिखाता हूँ तुमको. So he started pulling out all the photos and all that and he showed the photos. ये बंदा 20 लाख कमाता है मंथली, ये बंदा 30 लाख रुपए कमाता है. वो फोटो देखा होता है, ये सारे तो क्रिमिनल्स हैं. बोलता तो आपने मेरे को कब बोला कि क्रिमिनल्स नहीं चाहिए? आपने तो बस मेरे को ये बोला कि 5 लाख रुपए होनी चाहिए. तो यू हैव टू बी क्लियर अबाउट इट ना. तो उसका क्लियर क्राइटेरिया ये था. उसने कोई कैरेक्टर, कोई जजमेंट नहीं की कि कैरेक्टर कैसा है उस इंसान का, कैसा है वो, कैसा नहीं. उसको जो चाहिए था उसको मिला है. अब वो खुश नहीं है. तो डिसीजन को तो ओन करना पड़ेगा ना कि अब निकलना है या रहना है. अगर रहना है उसी सिचुएशन में तो फिर ओन इट कि नहीं मेरे को रहना है. अभी माय हस्बैंड बीट्स मी, देन बी हैप्पी विद दैट. या फिर take the decision, bite the bullet, and come out of that situation. There are plenty of helps available these days. कोई दर्द नहीं है. There are plenty. उन्होंने decision लिया, तो decision लेने के बाद there are plenty of options available. Lot of government assistance available, help from law, help from NGOs. I'm sure help from family and friends also. But decision तो उसी को लेके बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा ना पहले कि yes, I can't continue in this. Options बहुत है. Options की कोई कमी नहीं है life में.
Very well said, Chaitanya. Amazing thing, story that you shared. And I could think of a proverb which says, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
I beg to differ here.
Yeah, go ahead, Stuti.
Okay, so, well, my viewpoint is, see, when I take my example or even my mother's example, I'm not saying that, she was suppressed or I'm suppressed, but there are certain needs which I wrote in the group which have never been able to get met, okay? Maybe both our expectations couldn't meet each other because of I was looking at an emotional front, he was looking at a physical front. Somehow we never got into this thing, and it's like so many years now, okay? Both of us cannot work out because there's a daughter also involved in between. And now that she's grown up, and at certain times she felt that probably we were at a point wherein things could be here or there, she went through a nervous breakdown actually. So keeping her in view, because I had been saying that there are a lot of factors which one has to keep in view. There's social factors, there are children involved. Financial is one front which we just talked about. Okay, I can financially very well take care of her, but I cannot because of this reason. And apart from that, which you said, help is available.
What do you beg to differ, Stuti? Can you explain that? So factors are there. Yes, there are many factors, of course.
So
I understand.
This is the second thing which we were just talking about. Again, one of my friends has a similar situation, very rich husband and everything. He also beats her, broke her hand. She went to the police in Pune. Somehow the police also didn't help because they said it's a local this kind of this thing, husband wife में लड़ाई तो होता ही रहता है. Her parents literally कर लिया कि इस उम्र में हम तुमको अपने घर में रखेंगे, सोसाइटी क्या कहेगी और हम कब तक जिंदा रहेंगे. Brother is in abroad. He also said मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, ठीक है. His parents definitely will never support her. Now the thing is, उसकी बेटी को इतना प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है दिन पे दिन ये सब देख के, but she cannot walk out because financially she's not able to earn to bring up her child, take a house on rent. So मेरा कहने का क्या मतलब है, सोसाइटी जो हम कह रहे हैं कि there's a lot of help available, at times it's not there because she's looking forward for. कितने NGOs में गई, कितने जगह इसने बात भी करा. I gave her some numbers, pulled out a lot of places she went. अब कहती है पुलिस वाले तो सिर्फ आके समझा के चले जाते हैं घर पे. उसको चोट लगी, लिटरली उसका हाथ तोड़ दिया. मेडिकल रिपोर्ट से स्टिल पुलिस वालों ने नहीं उसकी, वो बोले घर का मामला है, हम क्या करेंगे इसमें. So that is what I beg to refer. कि शायद इतना हेल्प अवेलेबल नहीं है. Had it been so easy, probably बहुत से लोग वॉकआउट भी कर जाते हैं कर्मा एंड द ग्रुप. ये मेरा पॉइंट है.
नहीं स्तुति, यहाँ पे yes, your friend's situation, yes, it's painful and it's like that. We understand she didn't get help and all that. What we were saying is taking a stand. We were talking about that at some point you have to take a stand. Like, for an example, your friend did take a stand, right? She went to the police and she did things, right? She didn't say that my husband beats me, but I'm financially dependent.
हाँ, she said that he beats me. तो पुलिस वाला बोला कि तो घर की पंगा है, हम क्या करेंगे इसमें.
नहीं, I'm saying कि she didn't keep herself in the middle, right? कि if I am getting beaten, वो भी problem है, ये भी है, and then I don't take any action for it then also because I'm financially. So she tried doing something. Yes, ये भी सच है, ये भी fact है that she didn't get any help, right? But we don't know. It's a big world, right? So maybe we don't know, but at least she can own wherever she is. So we were talking about that, taking ownership, right, of your own actions and your own choices and completely owning it up. That is what we were talking about.
Yeah, that I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
These unfortunate situations happen. They are also practical life as well कि हम कोई डिसीजन ले लेते हैं, हम जो सोच के लेते हैं हमें वो हेल्प नहीं मिलती, वो सपोर्ट नहीं मिलता. ट्रू, आई गेट योर पॉइंट कि जब हम वो एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं तो जो सोच के करा होता है वैसा एकदम डक्स डोंट लाइन अप द वे वी एक्सपेक्ट देम टू लाइन अप. वो तो पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ लाइफ, वो तो है. बट आवर होल कॉन्वर्सेशन इज मोर अबाउट टेकिंग अ डिसीजन, नॉट सो मच कि अब जब डिसीजन ले लिया तो फिर किसी ना किसी तरह से अब फिर उसको हम करेंगे, जो भी करना होगा. नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ, जो भी हुआ. लेकिन ऐसे बस ये बीच में रहना कि ये भी नहीं हो रहा, मैं ये नहीं कर सकती हूँ, ये एक बेचारा बन के बीच में रहना, दैट इज व्हाट वी आर एड्रेसिंग. या तो अगर बेचारा बन के रहना है तो वो भी रहो, फिर ओन दैट डिसीजन ना कि हाँ यही है मेरी लाइफ, यही है मेरा फेथ, मैं यही चलेगा, यही है, मैं नहीं छोड़ सकती, मेरे को कोई सपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगा, मेरे को कोई सपोर्ट नहीं देगा, यही है. दैट इज द रियलिटी ऑफ लाइफ. देन जस्ट एक्सेप्ट दैट और do whatever to make that reality change, whether you get support or don't get support. अब नहीं मिला तो बैड लक, मिल गया तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं भी मिला तो करना तो खुद ही पड़ेगा. Kavita, you had your hand up, you wanted to say something.
Yes, same situation happens most of the time, जैसे अभी स्तुति ने बताया कि अगर वो कंप्लेंट्स करती भी हैं तो पुलिस स्टेशंस में भी उनको जो हेल्प मिलनी चाहिए होती है ना वो नहीं मिल पाती है, उल्टा उनको ही हैरेश किया जाता है, उन्हें समझा के भेज दिया जाता है. 2-3 बार वो कंप्लेंट्स होती हैं तो नियर बाय पीपल्स को भी पता चल जाता है, मतलब फैमिली एंड फ्रेंड्स एंड नीबर्स, तो उनकी टॉन्टिंग भी शुरू हो जाती है बहुत ही. और वो डिसीजन ले भी लें कि चलो हम अर्न कर लेंगे और जैसे भी चलाएंगे फैमिली को, तो दूसरी प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि बच्चों को पीछे से टेक केयर कौन करेगा. जैसे अभी कीर्ति ने शेयर किया था पीछे ग्रुप में भी, तो ये सिचुएशन भी होती है कि ठीक है अर्न तो कर लेंगे, अर्न करने के लिए भी जाएंगे, बट कोई फैमिली से सपोर्ट नहीं मिलता. बहुत सारी फैमिलीज इवन पेरेंट्स औरों के एग्जांपल देख के या वो रेडी नहीं होते हैं सपोर्ट करने के लिए, उनको यही लगता है कि मैनेज करो, हो जाएगा, आज नहीं हो रहा 2 साल बाद होगा, 4 साल बाद कभी तो इनको समझ में आ जाएगी. इट हैपेंस.
ट्रू, वो भी रियलिटी है. और फिर कुमार ने भी एक एग्जांपल शेयर किया था, वो भी एक रियलिटी है.
यस.
I think Sachin,
Ultimately,
sorry,
हाँ,
I
ना
think
go ahead.
Sachin, I think I don't know who was talking, didn't see the name of the person, but I think what the person said is actually also a fact, because when we're talking about help, I think it's only, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not available. Yes, I agree, it is available, but I think the awareness or the strength of availing that help is very limited, and I think a very few people can gather that courage and do that. But then I think a large chunk even today is bounded by that societal norms कि मतलब लोग क्या कहेंगे, and parents not parents are also kind of saying that अच्छा पल्ला झाड़ लिया है, अच्छा ठीक है, now that it's done for you, now it's your fate, your karma, take care of it and things like that. You need to give time. So a lot of kind of counseling kind of a thing the parent do, which is not a positive counseling but a negative counseling, which also is making the other person feel that there's nobody who can really support me, or there's nobody I can lean on to when I need some help. So,
True.
so I think while we're
I
talking about, sorry.
हाँ, no, I'm agreeing with you, क्योंकि बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स तो खुद ही इतने वीक होते हैं. See, the I'll go one step back here. See, if a woman has been facing this kind of problem in their married life, I wouldn't say 100%, but majority of the ownership will actually go on the parenting style itself. The parent didn't raise an empowered woman because the parents themselves were not very empowered. तो वापस आके उनसे सपोर्ट एक्सपेक्ट करना तो बेकार ही रहेगा. उन्होंने अगर वो इतने सपोर्टिव होते तो पहले से एक बहुत एम्पावर्ड वुमेन रेज कर देते जो ये सब डिसीजंस लेने में जिसको प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती। लाइफ में सिचुएशन तो अट्रैक्ट हो जाती हैं। अब somebody got a husband like that, और इसमें तो उनका कोई कसूर नहीं है, वो तो हो गया। लेकिन how we face these problems is how we were created, how we were built in our early childhood, how our parents parented us, the values they instilled. तो अगर पेरेंट्स ने वो एक एम्पावर्ड ह्यूमन बीइंग बनाया होता तो वो इस सिचुएशन को किसी और ही तरह से देखते, और अगर वो फिर अगर वो कोई ऐसा डिसीजन लेते तो पेरेंट्स भी उसको सपोर्ट करते, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स देमसेल्व्स नो द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ दिस। So the whole point here, what you are saying is correct. Man, most parents are not empowered themselves. वो खुद ही जूझ रहे हैं अपने अपने टंटम। वो कहाँ बच्चों का कुछ करेंगे? उनको तो खुद ही समाज में ये मुंह दिखाने लायक नहीं रहेंगे, वो तो ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा। वो तो खुद ही दे आर सो वीक। उनसे कहाँ आप स्ट्रेंथ की एक्सपेक्टेशन कर रहे हो? वेरी वीक themselves. Weak parents cannot raise strong kids. Yes, Vidya, go ahead.
Excellent point.
So Sachin, it's completely 100% aligned. So now my next question here is that if weak parents cannot raise an empowered and a strong child, now if I were to take, let's take example of, and I'll take my own example. Okay. Now if I were to talk about my upbringing, while as kid I was pretty much independent, raised that way. But yes, somewhere as I was growing up, when I grew up, I got married. I come from a very independent kind of a thinking. And I think I have some of my friends who are there on this call, probably who've known me for long, would resonate. I have Rashmi, I have Kumar, who've known me for really long. So they know me as a very different person. Now, if I am talking to them, they know me. And in fact, Rashmi has also met my parents. She's been my close, the best friend, in fact. She's seen my parents as well. Now, the point is that, it's like, this is how my sister and I, we were raised very outgoing, go meet anybody. We've had male friends. They would come over home and pretty much liberal. My both set of parents never said anything. But the point is that when I got married and when like we all have challenges because it's a new place, it's a new family, new tradition. So a lot of times I would kind of find things as very difficult. And I would go back to my parents and say, my mom would listen to me and not say a word. But then when I would tell this to my father, he was like, you know what, you need to adjust. Every house has different ways of working. And say our family had a different ways of operating. The other family has different ways of operating. There is a generation gap. Your in-laws are slightly older than us. So, you need to kind of be patient. You need to understand their. Now, my point is like, till what time can I just be understanding? My whole life will just go understanding and making people happy. Then where is my happiness?
So
While we talk about.
This is a good point that you are raising. So this is, as a parent, every parent, whether they are empowered or weak, they will say the same thing to their kids. कि पहले देखो, ठीक है? So their advice is fine. क्योंकि इनिशियल डे में कुछ ऐसा झगड़ा, हम भी यही बोलेंगे ना कि जैसे अगर आप मेरे पास भी आओगे कुछ बात, तो हम भी यही बोलेंगे, जस्ट टॉक इट आउट, जस्ट ट्राई टू रिमूव दैट कम्युनिकेशन बैरियर, कुछ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग है, ट्राई टू वर्क इट आउट एंड ऑल दैट। तो सभी लोग आपको यही एडवाइस देंगे। नाउ नेक्स्ट पार्ट ओवर हियर इज कि इतने दिन से करते करते भी नहीं हुआ है, तो अब तो फिर पेरेंट्स को स्टेप इन करने में वो सपोर्ट देना चाहिए ना कि हाँ, अब वी सी यू हैव डन योर बिट, यू ट्राइड, तुमने बहुत कर लिया, तुमने बहुत अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिखाई है, तुमने बहुत कर लिया है, अब सामने वाला नहीं कर रहा है, नाउ दिस इज बिकमिंग अब्यूजिव, दिस इज बिकमिंग टॉक्सिक, नाउ वट एवर डिसीजन यू टेक वी आर गोइंग टू स्टैंड बिहाइंड यू। दैट इज एन एम्पावर्ड पेरेंट। पहले तो सब यही बोलेंगे, एडवाइस यही देंगे, और ये सही भी एडवाइस है कि पहले ट्राई करो। ऐसे थोड़ी है कि पहले झगड़े में ही छोड़ छाड़ के सब कुछ आ जाओगे, ऐसे थोड़ी होता है। तो वो तो सभी लोग यही बोलेंगे कि हाँ, कुछ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग हो गई है, ट्राई टू एडजस्ट, ट्राई टू सी देयर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, उनका ही ट्राइंग टू शो यू कि उनका जनरेशनल गैप है, ये है, वो है, ये सब ठीक है, एडजस्ट करो। तो तुमने किया, लेकिन अब अगर सिर्फ तुम्हें ही करने एंड यू आर गेटिंग इम्पैक्टेड, तो एज एन एम्पावर्ड पेरेंट then I would then support my kid to say, no, this is not, we can't be one way only. You cannot be just, you are the one who's always compromised. So then I would encourage, to take whatever decision you want to take, and I'm standing behind you.
And another thing, Sachin, I have a disconnect is on some of the things, and that is where a lot of times I have confrontation with my own parents. It's like, oh, like, so okay, I understand for some time you agree and you kind of you give the same advice that okay, go, just listen, just see things, observe and understand, and once so when after so many years also, when you see that the other person, the other party says something about you know me as an individual, and my parents standing there listening to it, I get cheesed off that. I mean, what kind of parent are you? You're criticizing your daughter and you're saying hame lare, saying that oh, that's true, she needs to understand, you are elder. I mean, what crap is this? I mean, I have zero value then. Is that what you're saying? I mean, in that
So that's what
context,
I'm saying.
I
That
then question that
on one hand,
parenthood.
that's exactly what I'm saying. That on one hand, they are trying to raise an independent kid, and when the independent kid is raised, and the independent kid is now trying to take independent decisions, they're not supporting it. So, in which language this is empowered parenting, I don't know.
So
I will share
Anamika,
my example
one
as
point,
well.
and I would want you to
Please.
add that also. So, if this is the case now,
Yeah.
tomorrow when I become a parent, I feel that I'm going to pass on the same legacy because somewhere I've had the gene coming from the other party, and then I have this another set of parents whom I've seen who've raised their son in a certain way. Now, clearly, when we have a combination kid coming out, the well, I will have a different way of upbringing. So, how do I manage this?
Don't worry. I mean, generational trauma, Lu, can be broken by you itself, right? But let me give you my example. My mom is very liberal and very open, and I have had a lot of male friends. In fact, when I was young, I had more male friends and less female friends. Everything is fine. I even shared with my mom who my boyfriend is, and we go for party and all that. ठीक है, सब कुछ very liberal. My mom is not an empowered woman. She she is like so gullible and so naive and such a people pleaser. She would be like the sweetest person you would meet, right? But no, I don't think. I mean, जब भी जैसे कि ऐसा कुछ आया है ना, where she had to take a stand for me in front of my in-laws or anything like that, it's so hard for her, so hard. ठीक है, बिल्कुल नहीं हो पाता था उनसे, बहुत तकलीफ होती थी उनको. ठीक है, अब जैसे ही वो इन-लॉज चले गए फिर घर में, तो she is like a शेर और शेरनी. She is like a शेरनी. She would say different things and everything. वो अगर उनको confront नहीं करना है ना लोगों को, like after my divorce, she is afraid of confronting people. ठीक है, तो after my divorce, she still doesn't allow me to share it with people that I'm divorced, because she is like, oh my god, मैं अपने भाई को क्या बोलूंगी, इधर क्या बोलूंगी, उधर क्या बोलूंगी, किसको क्या बोलूंगी. तो छुप के she supported me. She only said to me कि yes, it's time for you to take a divorce. When it comes to confronting people, she would like दुम दबा के she would run away. ठीक है, आई एम लाइक कि मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, मैं तो अभी जाके मैं सोशल मीडिया पे लिख सकती हूँ. शी इज लाइक, प्लीज आई रिक्वेस्ट यू, डोंट डू दैट एंड वट एवर क्रैप. ठीक है, तो ठीक है, आई रिस्पेक्ट हर. एटलीस्ट शी टेक्स ओनरशिप कि आई एम अफ्रेड. दैट आई एम हैप्पी अबाउट कि वो खुलेआम बोलती कि हाँ, मेरे को कन्फ्रंट नहीं करना है, मेरे को अनकंफर्टेबल होता है, अच्छा नहीं लगता. So these two things can happen. So my mom is very liberal. She never controlled me much or anything, but she doesn't fall in the category of an empowered person. She is not, क्योंकि सब कुछ जो भी करना है छुप के, अरे छुप के कर लो, ठीक है, लोग क्या सोचेंगे. All the time, in fact, I think she keeps thinking कि लोग क्या सोचेंगे. So these two things, it's not about how it appears at the outside. It's about कि जब actually ऐसी situations आती हैं, then what happens.
और ये सब डिस्कशन करने का ये पर्पस नहीं है कि वी लाइक डू बैशिंग ऑफ अवर पेरेंट्स। अब इसका इट इज मोर अबाउट सेल्फ अवेयरनेस कि दिस इज द फैक्ट, ये है। अब डोंट एक्सपेक्ट दैट काइंड ऑफ सपोर्ट फ्रॉम देम। So don't make life more hard by making expectations and then they are not getting met कि ये नहीं किया वो नहीं किया, नहीं करेंगे। They're not comfortable, they are weak in their own way, they are weak. So that is the fact. So just don't have those expectations from them.